Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 9 of the Void Frogs podcast.
Wow.
My name is Stifflered, and I am joined, to no surprise of anyone, by my co-host, the qmagnet, plus a guest whose name I think many OG Minecrafters might just know.
Oh, yeah. For most people, Minecraft is just a hobby. For others, it became a passion. Our guest today has taken his love even further than that. He's a pioneer of the modding community. He began his journey about a decade ago, created one of the most ambitious creations the community has ever seen, and worked his way into the arms of the game studio itself.
Huge!
Now as one of Mojang's Java developers, and we are honored to have kingbdogz, Mr. Brandon Pearce! I ran out of breath on that one.
Yeah.
Wow, that was impressive.
Good day, sir.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are
B.
one. First of all, I've been dying to have a modder on here, so you are one, first modder, and Java developer for the game itself. It's like two birds with one stone.
Insane.
Woo. Excited. Very excited.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either, to be honest. Starting as a modder and then, also a Java developer.
Man.
Well, yeah, it's been interesting.
Well, technically, you were developing Java programming for the mods, right?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah?
100%,
So
yeah.
it's
No,
kinda
I'm not on the Bedrock side. Like, I haven't done any of the add-ons or anything
Right.
like that.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back in time to the first time, even maybe before Minecraft, you were born. No, I'm just kidding. Your name, kingbdogz, which I sat kind of beside you at Minecon and heard Jessica say your name, which was very cool. Where's that come from? You're the king of all the dogs that start with B, or what's that name? Tell us.
I don't know. It's such a stupid username, in my opinion. I don't know. Basically, I think when I was in primary school, I was playing RuneScape. I love that game. That was like my first big MMO, and it was like the best game to me at the time. And around about that time, I was like in primary school, and I was like playing with my friends and everything. And for whatever reason, there was like some book that had like a dog in it and like a bee in it.
Okay.
And basically, because my name's Brandon and it starts with a B, one of my friends said that you're B-Dog, and that just stuck. I don't know why.
Yo, B-Dog.
Yeah,
It's
it was
like
so
kinda...
stupid. I don't know, but basically after that, I was like trying to make my username in RuneScape, and I did B-Dog, but it was too short. So then I was like, okay, how can I make this work? So I just added King at the beginning, and there it is. And then of course, because I'm a kid, I added a Z at the
Z,
end as well.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait, whoa. What letter was that? What'd you say?
Okay, Z.
No. I want to hear what you
Yes,
said.
Z is correct.
No. See, buddy. Okay, so Brandon comes from Australia, one of the great countries. Me, Canada. You got to team up against this crazy American here and tell him properly or pronounce.
I swear to you, he brings this up every time.
Every
Just the ones that the Americans aren't on.
About yeah, when the Americans are on, he forgets about it. Well, you know what? That's fine. I'll let you guys
See how
have
that
this victory.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. From now on, only you have to be able to pronounce the 26th letter properly to get on the show. What do you think of that rule? Sounds good.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. At least for this week.
Goodness. Oh, well, anyway. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like half of our guests started playing RuneScape years ago, and that's where they got their usernames or their skins or something.
Wait, really? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they wanted kingbdogz, but it was taken by somebody.
Exactly.
Now we know.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So
people. that
none
got
started from like WoW or anything? I would have thought there'd be like at least WoW or I don't know,
think-
some other big game.
Taylor said he started with RuneScape, but he did play WoW, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's the only one who's mentioned WoW. Anyway, but this is about you. This is about you.
Let's go back. Let's go Australia, right? Perth, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Western Australia.
Yeah.
Your parents' address
so
is.
You get tired of standing on your head. You finally came up to the northern hemisphere, able to walk on your feet, right?
Yeah. It's been hard.
Okay. So you moved. We're going to talk about your journey into Mojang or Mojang, however you say it. But you moved to Sweden, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 months ago now.
How is that?
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like the trip alone is crazy, but then also, of course, with what's going on in the world right now is even crazier.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird way to come to a new country.
Yeah.
And then also now, like I'm actually like self-isolated, so I can't really go out and explore. I can't. Things are closing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but when I did first come here, like it was beautiful. Sweden is beautiful. The architecture, the country, the people, just it's so different to Australia. Of course, it's colder. That's like one thing.
Yeah.
But it was cool. For example, like I saw snow for the first time in person, and that was amazing. And I really enjoyed that.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I'm loving it really. Other than the whole, world global crisis thing that's happening right
just
now.
that little thing in the background going on.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat. I've been out of work for a week because we had to close down the shop. Just the whole, we call them provinces. They're like states. It's everybody non-essential, closed down, isolate, trying to make it safe for everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kind of stuck here.
We'll get through this, friends. We'll get through this. Just keep washing your dang hands. Wash your dang hands. Anyway.
So you, Brandon, you were like, okay, I think, as I recall, you knew nothing about modding or programming before you got into modding, or is that kind of right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I never knew anything about programming, at least. I did do what I guess you could consider modding before that, but it wasn't like, it was nothing as crazy as what I was doing after that.
Right.
I didn't know any programming language before Minecraft. I thought I was too dumb for it. I thought I was not smart enough. But I think as a kid, like your perception is that, at least of me, my perception was that programming is like this like otherworldly, like magical art that you have to be like the smartest like being in the world to understand. Because I don't know, like my family, we don't come from that sort of background. Like not many of us went to university. I don't think any of my family went to university. And so because of that, I just kind of had that, I guess, like that pressure on me that like I didn't think it was possible. But then I just basically one day decompiled Minecraft through a tutorial, and I changed a few like variables on the code, and I ended up making like the first mod I ever made was chickens dropping 9,000 diamonds when you killed them. Because I thought that was amazing.
Can you put that in the game now? I think that would be
funny.
really good.
When it happened, it crashed the game. But
maybe not 9,000.
Because I had like 9,000. This is back when I believe item entities actually didn't stack together, so they were separate.
Yeah.
So it actually just spawned 9,000.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you like. I'm just trying to. I'm not a programmer. Okay, I do some command block stuff, but I don't know programming, and I'm just sitting there going. So what do? You just like open up Minecraft and you see all these words and you're just like, hey, what if I type this in? Is this going to do anything? Or how exactly jump into that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was like at the beginning, where it was just like, I didn't even know what programming was. I just saw a bunch of like lines and just saw like, okay, this count here, like this number here, like is a 1. And I know that when a chicken dies, it drops like 1 feather. So I'm going to just change that to 5. And then I look to the left and I'm like, oh, that says feather. What if I change that to diamond? Back then it was actually emerald. It was called emerald in the code for some reason.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was very interesting. No. But that was decompiled, and it was like our own mapping to the game. Before there were names on the tooltips. There was no tooltips in the game. So no one knew what diamond was actually called. So the community thought it was called emerald for some reason. I don't know.
And there were no emeralds back then, though.
No, there was no emeralds.
Yes, okay. So once they added emeralds, they had to switch it over or something like that, I bet.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
They switched it over in I believe it was February of 2011 or 2010 or 2011.
Whoa, research department's on the ball today.
This was one of the questions from trivia during our Nox Crew episode.
Well, I don't remember anything.
I asked that and they were like, "That's such a dumb question. What do you mean?" Well, kingbdogz knows.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people wouldn't know that, right? Like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
It's,
It was a dumb question.
It's weird. No, I don't know if it's a dumb question, but it would definitely only like maybe
No.
a couple thousand people would know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be tough.
Well, now
Now more
know.
people.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is great.
There we go,
This is
there we go.
great.
All right.
Yeah, you said that you thought that only smart, like genius, god level people with big brains were
brain.
able to be developers.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself, sometimes us developers can be pretty dumb. Google is our friend. Searching for the answers is the best thing ever. It can be troublesome, but yeah. I learned a lot of the same way that you did. That's kind of wild that was your first mod, and that led down the road. From there, you were just like, I'm gonna build more stuff. I'm gonna keep doing this. Or did it take a while?
It didn't take that long actually. I mean, after that, I made my first like released mod was called Minecraft Advanced, which ended up being renamed to kingbdogz mods or King's mods. Or something.
King's mods.
King's mods. That's right. Yeah.
I know my history of kingbdogz. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was basically the first mod that I ever made, and back then, like, it was. This was around the time where even just adding, so I added obsidian tools in the game.
Yeah.
And back then, that was cool. That was really cool. Like, no one had really added, like...
It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's
cool. Why don't we have obsidian tools? Seems like a pretty obvious thing.
Is that a hint?
What? Hey, are you taking suggestions? Because I got a list here. Not thinking of like Game of Thrones, you know, they got the dragon glass obsidian can kill the White Walkers.
Oh,
right? Right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, basically, in the end, I added like dragon tools, added obsidian tools, added a dragon.
Before the Ender Dragon.
It was a ghast with a head on top of it, and I retextured it with scales. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish there was a picture of it out there, but I can't find it. I have to like install the mod sometime. It had nether hounds.
Nether hounds.
Wow. Yeah. It was like a big like nether expansion.
How are you doing that? How are you? And I'm not a programmer, but how do you create a new mob like that? Are you just retexturing something?
So back then, it was more difficult to create like new entities and stuff. But basically, the models were all done like in code. It's not like an external model editor or anything. Especially back then, like there's a lot of like community-driven tools now that allow you to make models. Like there's Blockbench and everything, which is fantastic. We didn't have any of that back then. So basically, in order to create those like new entities and those new models, you would have like essentially just boxes that are defined by coordinates, and then you would have to like manually enter and adjust the coordinates until you create these boxes, and then you have to map the textures to them. So it was a lot more manual back then, and that's why the models sucked, to be honest, because programmer art, and it wasn't great.
Really programmer art.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was the method of creating a new entity. You didn't have a lot of freedom, but a lot of that also was just me. Like I didn't understand what the hell I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but
yeah. Well, hey,
but I know a little bit more.
I looked back at some of this stuff, and one of the things that caught my eye, wink, wink, Mojang developer, baby creepers. Baby creepers?
Yeah.
What was that about? Baby creepers?
Yeah, they were like pets and stuff. Now it's all coming back to me. Yeah, so basically there was like baby creepers that you could like feed something, and then they would like actually they'd be friendly to you. There was giant creepers that like create an explosion that would actually lag the game.
Nice.
Because you couldn't do an explosion any larger than it already was.
Yeah.
And I had like sounds to it. It was really cool. Like that was my first proper mod that I ever did in my life, and like I think that like kind of sparked me going towards
Yeah.
like the Aether and stuff, and my other projects later on.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
I just like. I want baby creepers in the game now. I'm just saying, but
Baby Creeper's pretty cute. I'll admit.
So yeah, you just said you're. I would personally say your big, moment or whatever that people know you for is that Aether, or Aether. You call it the Aether.
Yeah, the Aether.
Yeah. The Aether, not the Aether. Aether.
Both.
Both. Okay. The
Depends
Aether.
on the
Aether.
day.
Aether mod. And I think was before me and I just went into the maps. I didn't really go on the mods, but I didn't actually realize how much stuff was in that. It's like almost like a DLC level.
It's huge.
So, where did you come up with this? Like, you looked at all these little modules. Go, you know what? I'm gonna make a dimension and push yourself.
Yeah. So it basically started from back then. I don't know how I found all of this, but I ended up finding myself on IRC, which do you guys? I assume you guys know what IRC is. Yeah, it's
I do.
For people we call it ERC. You know. Yeah. From.
Oh, okay, yeah. For people that don't know it, it's basically think of it like Discord but ancient. Basically, and no calls.
Yeah.
But you know that was basically where all the modders hung out. There was a channel called Rissucraft, and I think there was a bunch of channels that I can't remember anymore. But the main one I remember was Rissucraft, and we ended up making, after like talking to a few people there and kind of like asking questions about how to do certain things, I ended up making just a bunch of friends. Some of those friends are like Shocker, 303, Flan. I met Kojo as well, who is currently on the Minecraft.
Just dropping names.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bill
these
Gates,
are all
Steve Jobs,
kingbdogz.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I'm joking. But basically, yeah, like I met all these people who were very old school modders. Some of them don't do mods anymore. Some of them aren't really part of the community anymore. But at the time, these were really smart people in the community that were making really cool content. And I remember seeing basically a thread that basically it was like a suggestion thread on the Minecraft forums, which suggested like something called the Aether, but it was very different to what we ended up making. But it had basically like the principles of it being Sky Islands. It was like the opposite of the Nether. And some of those core ideas like we kind of tried to follow, and then some of them like we went complete opposite. Like the Aether in the original idea thread was basically meant to be completely passive. There was going to be almost no conflict whatsoever, and we came in and just added bosses. So like we went a very different direction. I can't remember who made the thread. It's been a really long time now. I'm not sure if they're in the community anymore, but they suggested it, and me and a few others. It was pretty much, I think the main people that worked on it with me was Shocker and Flan and Kodeki. I think Kodeki is another one. I think he made clay toys or something. I don't know if you guys remember that mod. There was a mod where it was like clay toys. I'm pretty sure that was him. But yeah, these are all things that are just kind of rushing back to me because it's been like, literally like 9-10 years now. But yeah, basically I showed the thread to these people. We were like, hey, let's make it. Let's do it. And we worked on it for a year and then released it. So
crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but somehow we made it.
But like, were mods just like kind of enhancements for the game back then? You actually came up with this huge, massive world.
Yeah.
No one had done that before.
No. Back then, it was basically just like, like King's mods, where it was just adding like a new tool set, maybe adding a new mob. But even then, that was actually quite rare. It was rare to have like new creatures. Or if there were creatures, it was like what I did, which is like add a baby creeper, like just add existing variations of existing mobs. Um, I believe I can't remember if this is actually true, but I think we were the first dimension mod ever. I'm
I've
fairly certain.
Yeah.
heard that before. I've heard that before when people are talking about the importance of that mod to the modding community. I think even Ant Venom might have done a video about the Aether mod a while. He's done a few.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
done
he
a
did.
bunch actually.
Yeah.
And he might have said that that was the first dimension mod. So yeah, that's super sick.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to track it all down. Like there could have been someone who made something, but it didn't get very popular. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
at the very least, it was a milestone
Yeah.
in the community. And what I found is, I believe, again, don't quote me on this. I could be wrong, but I remember watching one of the Minecon panels like years ago, and I think it was someone who was working on either the In Between Lands mod or Twilight Forest, and they were saying that they were inspired by the Aether in order to make that dimension mod. So I think like indirectly, the Aether mod was one of those things that kind of made people think, oh, this is possible.
Yeah.
Let's make dimensions now. Let's go forward with this. So
Yeah.
that was really cool for me. Like just the fact that it sparked so many other ideas and so many other mods. You know,
Totally.
on top of the fact that I enjoyed working on the mod itself.
That's why
It's
you're
just
the
fun.
king. Right? So just staying a little bit on the Aether because it's so interesting for anybody out there who's listening, and because it's a little bit older of a mod, right? They might not know what it is. Give a brief rundown of what exactly is involved when you load up the Aether.
Yeah, so basically the Aether back when it was made was kind of this idea of the opposite dimension of the Nether. And it was actually made with the portal itself that brought you to the Aether was basically made out of glowstone that you got from the Nether. So it was this whole idea you have to like go to back then I said it was like you have to go to hell to go to heaven sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dante's
So
Inferno.
yeah, exactly. And that whole concept of the Aether is basically, it's just like floating sky islands. It has flying pigs. It has flying cows. It has
It's like when pigs
giant
fly.
birds.
Yeah.
That was actually an achievement we had in
Yeah?
mod. Yeah, called When Pigs Fly, when you
Yeah.
finally mount up a flying pig.
Okay.
So like we lent heavily into that stuff where it was kind of this idea that you'd played through the game and it's like, oh wow, there's this whole other thing that you don't know about, and it's actually like it's got its own ecosystem, it's got its own progression loop.
Yeah.
In fact, going in, like you had to start again with new tools because the ones that you had like from the overworld wouldn't work well, and we really enjoyed that idea that you had to kind of start over again, and but you're doing it in this what we called a hostile paradise. So on the surface it looks very friendly and it tends to be friendly, but then as you look deeper in, when you start seeing the dungeons and some of the creatures that are out there, it's actually a bit hostile. And that's basically the Aether. It's like you said, it's kind of like an expansion pack almost. That's all. That's
Right.
what I designed it like at the time. It felt like what could have been DLC for the game.
And it was so good that people are still playing it, and we'll talk about Aether too. Like they're still playing it to this day. You know, there are YouTubers that I've seen that have series that are running with the mod because it is that rich and full of stuff. It's super good. And it makes me wonder, and this might be something Q brings up, about how much of an influence you've not just had on modding, but also on the game itself, because some of the concepts in the Aether mod seem to have made it in the game before you joined Mojang. And so, excuse me, it makes me wonder, like, was this man pulling some strings? Like, what was going on back in the day making things happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. What things do you think like influence the game? Like, or like what parts do you feel got into the game? Because like I'm curious myself.
Well, I mean, you got the whole end dimension, right?
Right.
Floating islands. And an additional dimension that I guess you can get to without going to the Nether, technically, but it's very, very rare that that's the case.
Yeah.
For the most part, you
Yeah.
have to go to the Nether to get to the end. You get the floating islands. Obviously, the end is a little bit more hostile. Looking more
Very
hostile
different.
looking. Yeah. But also your King's mods, right? Your first mods that were focused on, you said, enhancing the Nether, and obviously now not we.
Yeah,
you
of us are enhancing the Nether right now.
You
Nice.
are working with the Nether update. And yeah, it just, and then the when pigs fly, there's an advancement, I believe, in Minecraft when pigs fly now, isn't there?
They
Oh,
stole
right,
it.
yeah.
They stole it. I know they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
like-
you ride a pig, and you make it fall off a ledge, when pigs fly.
You know, the
Just
whole end thing is actually really interesting because at the time it was kind of like we ended up using parts of like a prototyped version of the end code before the end was made, like way after. So back then it wasn't called the end. It was Notch was actually gonna work on some sort of sky islands like years and years ago, and it was in the code but not used. So we kind of just like took it out and used it for
I
ourselves.
see
Wow.
how it is.
Yeah. So, but I know that back then, I'm pretty sure, like, Notch or, some of the team knew about the Aether because Notch even tweeted out saying that I've heard that the Aether is a, really good mod. You guys should give it a shot.
Right.
And I have a feeling, and I don't know, but I have a feeling that maybe like because of the Aether, the end became a very different sort of dimension. Like it became again more hostile, more dark because Minecraft doesn't want to just be like mods. It
Yeah.
wants to distinguish itself. It wants to be unique. So that's my hypothesis. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know how all of that got influenced at the time. Maybe
That's your
maybe, to
official
be
word
honest.
as the employee of Mojang.
Yeah.
that.
They
They stole the Aether from you and renamed it the end. And you're like, don't you know who I am? I'm the king.
I think in the end, like Minecraft at the time tried not to be too influenced by mods. I remember Notch even saying that he didn't look at mods because he didn't want to be influenced.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that there was no influence. But it's just my opinion that I feel like if I was a developer at the time, I wouldn't want to just carbon copy a mod that's already out there. I'd want to do something unique, and I feel like maybe that's what happened. But
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Mojang has said that a few times though, right? That like people have said, "Can you add this to the game?" And then people make suggestions all the time, and then they're like, "This mod has already done it. This modder has already made that." And then Mojang has often said, "Well, we don't want to take what's in a mod and put it in the game because the mod already exists. So like we want to put something unique in the game."
I think they
so I can
have
see that.
a few times though. Like I'm pretty sure Pistons came from a mod.
Pistons,
horses.
Yeah. I'm not sure. What
The
else.
Aether, the end.
I think that's There's some small things the Pistons are the big one. That's
Yeah.
for sure. And thinking about that principle of not adding mods, I think what Mojang tries to do is when it comes to like original concepts, like we try to stick to original concepts, like our own ideas. That's the big driving force behind like not implementing mods, I feel like. And like even there's so many people out there like us like add the Aether to Minecraft, and even myself as a developer of it, I do think like why not just play the mod? It's out there right now.
It's
You
there.
can play it.
Yeah.
What I do agree though with some people out there is like with mods that have such general concepts that like aren't original at all. Like I feel like that's grounds for the game to kind of explore at some point. But I don't think like literally pulling that exact concept and just putting it into Minecraft, like that's not fun to me. I don't see the value in that. Like it's a whole bunch of extra work for no reason when you can just play the game, play the mod.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But so we're not getting baby creepers. what you're trying to say?
You'll just have to find out. Sorry.
Whoa! Official word. You'll just have to find out.
What did Helen keep saying over and over? If you want to believe there's baby creepers in your world, you go right ahead.
One day, I'm going to get a person at Mojang to go, yes, we're adding it just for you.
Yeah.
I'll feel like my job is done.
Yep.
So then you did Aether 2, right? Was that the next mod you did?
Yes, it was actually. That I'm trying to think of the timeline. I think that was like 2 years after Aether 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that was around about the time that multiplayer got introduced to Minecraft. So
Okay.
we already had to rewrite the mod entirely in order to make it work for multiplayer. So we thought, let's just make a sequel. Like I had a lot of learnings at the time about what I felt was wrong with the original mod, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of people love the original mod. They think, that it's almost like flawless, and I respect that. Like, I especially respect like the nostalgia side of it. Like I like RuneScape still. It's a pretty flawed game, but it's a game that I have a lot of nostalgia for, so I get it. But for me, Aether 2 was kind of like me trying to top myself, like trying to make the next big thing again.
Right.
And I think that was the failure there, because what ended up happening is that I was trying to make something so ambitious that I couldn't really achieve my goals. And that was like my big learning with Aether 2. And it's still in development today. It's been through 4 iterations of entirely different mods. There was like Aether 2, Genesis of the Void, and then after that we were working on like Aether 2 Mutation, which got cancelled. It was a complete rewrite of the mod. And then we worked on like another version which didn't even have a name to it, and then now we're working on Aether 2 Highlands. So it's just it's one of those things that I think I've accepted with Aether 2, that it's one of those mods that is just a passion project that every now and then I come in, I work on it, and if it never gets done, I don't care, because I just do it for fun.
But you got a whole team working with you on this, do you not?
Yes, I do. Yeah, Gilded Games, which
Right.
is like back then we were thinking like, oh, we're gonna make games one day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still gonna happen, but we've always tried to be like professional with our work, because we felt like Aether 1 was such a milestone, so we wanted to kind of try to keep that up. And like our motto in the team is like our projects should be milestones. They should be milestones for the modding community to create new bigger things.
Right.
And so whether or not that happens with Aether 2, who knows? It's a bit weird now being in the actual working in Mojang and working on the game. I don't really have time anymore.
Yeah.
And life kind of changes things for you, but it is what it is.
But you still get to work on the mod today if you wanted to?
Yeah, even Kojo works on Tropicraft still. We're all able to work on mods still.
And you guys want to still work on mods, even though you work on the game?
Yeah, it's sort of like, I've been doing this all day. I need a break. I want to just watch a dumb movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, no, not really. That's the sad part, is that these projects are really important to me, but after working on the game for an entire day, I don't want to come home and then work on more Minecraft code.
Yeah,
that's really it's not good. It's not good for your mental health, I think.
Yeah.
So I do, to be honest, I don't work on it much, and I try to steer away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a passion for it, so whenever I can, I try to give it a shot. So.
All right.
Okay, so you mentioned your fellow colleague there, Kojo, and Love or Tropic. What'd you call it?
Love Tropics.
Love Tropics. Love Tropics. Yeah. Yes, I was going to ask you. I saw that on your, I think on your Twitter bio. What is that, like an event or something? I've heard of this Love Tropics, but I haven't really got involved or seen it. So what is that? What's that about?
Yeah, so Love Tropics is basically like a charity event within the Minecraft community. So we try to bring as many people together from like modding and builders and all these different corners of the
Right.
Minecraft community, and we bring them together on one server, which is actually it's using the Tropicraft mod itself as a base. It's modded Minecraft basically.
Yeah.
But it's got like a few extra tweaks to it. So like last year's we kind of went with the whole idea of having like mini games. So we programmed like unique mini games and all of these things tailored for the event.
Mhm.
And basically, the efforts of the event is to at the moment try to curb like climate change and speak more about it and inform people, especially young kids, of like what climate change is and how it's affecting us.
Okay.
And so Corey or Kojo is the main organizer for the event. He
Right.
started it, and I'm just one of the sort of organizers that works on the mini games at least last year. But I'll probably have a bit more of a larger role going forward.
Cool.
But yeah, like again, it's trying to be as positive as possible. We work with different charities. So last year we worked with Cool Earth,
Right.
and that particular charity was really good for the event, and we raised quite a lot last year. So it was
So is that like
really
people stream playing it and then people donate to the streamers sort of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we have a bunch of different guests that come on, usually streamers,
Mhm.
YouTubers, content creators. We try to be like as diverse as possible to get like different parts of the community. They come in, they'll have a time slot of like an hour or two, and they'll interact with the community, and then they'll move on to the next person, and that kind of drives the donations most of the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, you
So,
guys have had like hermit crafters and
Yeah.
all types of YouTubers and Minecraft celebrities and stuff over there, which has been really neat. I didn't get a chance to join in the festivities last year. I think I was busy working or something, but it does look like a really cool in-game convention, which is perfect. We need some more like in-game conventions right now. Everybody can enjoy
Yeah,
from home, from the comfort of your home.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that we can do something interesting this year. I mean, it's a bit of a tricky time right now,
Yeah.
but we do intend to try and do it every year. And I think it would probably, I agree. I think it'd be important in a time like this to have something like that where, the
Yeah.
community can come together. Whether or not it would be a charity exactly, again,
mhm.
I mean, maybe, but who knows? Like, I think it would probably be wrong to talk about climate change right now,
Hmm.
Hmm.
even though I'm super passionate about it. But I think it's not the right time and place. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Have to see how it goes.
Well,
Well,
hey, I got
good
an
luck.
idea for you. Next time, you guys can have the Void Frog charity, and all money can go towards me,
Right?
and
Yeah. Of course.
that's it.
exactly right.
That's my idea. What do you
That's
think?
Nice. I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
good
I can see it happening.
idea, Q.
yeah. I think it's good.
Good idea.
It's a good idea. Okay, so another mod I wanted to I don't know, pick your brain about. You also developed one called Orbis, which is the first time I ever heard of you because I think I was struggling with MC Edit or something like that, and you tweeted me, "Hey, check out my mod." Or as I looked at it, I'm like, "Whoa, you could do that with." I mean, I was too dumb to figure it out, but the video, I was like, "This is like kind of like World Edit a little bit."
Yeah.
But you can paint things, and is that your latest one you've done?
That is the latest mod that I ever worked on. Yeah.
Right.
Since then I haven't really done any other new mods.
Mhm.
And yeah, so Orbis, yeah, it's pretty much like a visual world edit in a sense, but it tries to be a bit more expansive than that. Like it tries to tackle different like design challenges. The biggest thing is like artists being able to get in there and design procedurally generated content. That was the most important part for me because in the Aether and especially Aether 2, we had a problem of essentially we had the artists like drawing concept art, and then they would pass on the concept art to us for like a dungeon, and then we'd have to try and program it, and then try to make it look anything like what their concept art was like. And even with like schematics or the jigsaw pieces and stuff, it's close, but it's not the same as the artists getting in there themselves and actually designing the procedural parts of the content. So Orbis was trying to tackle that, where basically the artists could just go in and they could design the whole dungeon themselves, or they could design the whole tree themselves. Um, and that was really powerful to me, basically removing that like layer in between that was separating them from actually being able to develop their content. Um, and then they could get in and do level design for Minecraft, which is like a really fun and interesting thing to me, like the idea of procedural level design, something
Yeah.
that I think not many games get to tackle very often, and Minecraft has one of the more unique challenges with that. So in the end with Orbis, like I just haven't had time to work on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really cool concept, and it's a really cool mod and an idea for a platform. And I hope I can work on it more someday, whether it's for Aether 2 or whatever, because I love it. I was super passionate about that
Yeah.
project. It's really really.
So if you create this stuff using the Orbis, you save the world. Can somebody just run that world who doesn't have any mods installed? It works right off the bat like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You
They would
basically
still
build
be
it.
able
Yeah.
to. Yeah. An idea that I had at one point was that you would actually be able to get the like schematics that you made with Orbis, and they would like randomly generate throughout the world.
Hmm.
But I was trying to see if that was potentially possible without people even having to install the mod. Um, Perhaps like it was through like I don't know, like you went on a website and then you like downloaded like almost like a slice of like of a particular world, and it would like randomly generate it throughout the world, but then you
Mm-hmm.
just get the world save, and that way you don't have to like actually install the mod. Or the other thing is what was really exciting was for servers, because it's all server side, at least the actual like content generation. Servers could just install a plugin basically to generate
Yeah.
these structures, and clients could just be vanilla and it would be fine. And that was
Yeah.
the more exciting part for me.
Yeah.
Um, and that would have been so cool. Like, I had the idea of it being like a full platform where you'd go on a website, people have all their content they've created, you could download it, and it would actually be in the client itself. So you could search through it and click on it and say, I want to have this in my world. And in the world creation menu, like you could just select like, here's a dungeon that I like. I'm gonna add that on, and it's gonna generate throughout the world. And I thought that was a
Yeah.
really cool concept, but I just,
Hmm.
again, I don't have the time. And
Come on, man! We got people lined up waiting for this.
There's
Yeah.
there's a couple of plugins that for servers that I've actually bought and used that are similar to that, but it seems like that concept that you just described, being able to go to a website, generate the settings for a world, with the types of dungeons and biomes and landscapes and everything that are going to be added in and generated randomly. Seems like that's what a lot of these world generator or procedurally generated like plugin developers or modders want to do, but it's so hard for them to actually do it. Like I've been following some of these projects for years, and they still aren't all the way there yet, because that's such a huge task to try and take on and actually complete. So,
Yeah.
when you say that would be something that you wanted to do, but you can't find time to do it, I understand, because some of these other projects where they have a team of people working on it, they still don't have time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge engineering effort. Like
Yeah.
it's something that even big games in the industry can't necessarily solve very quickly. Procedural content is extremely difficult to work with, and it's also not something that has been solved in the industry. Like from a design perspective, and from um, even from the perspective of like the actual um, the solutions itself, the technology, that hasn't necessarily been solved completely yet. That there are solutions out there, but that doesn't mean that it's optimal. That doesn't mean that it actually works as a game. So procedural content is difficult. I don't expect modders in Minecraft to solve it. That's just it's insane. Like it's a really big effort to get working. Sure.
Which I know Q has a few other questions, but last thing from me on this topic is it always makes me laugh when I see people say, well, why can't you just add this in, or why can't you do this? It'll take you 5 minutes. It'll take you 10 minutes to do.
I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. Why don't you just throw that in there, King? Come on, dude.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't like how you did that one mod. You need to do it how I want it. This mod's dumb. Change it to this mod. Come on.
It'll take you 10 minutes. Come on. You know, it's like, no, it won't take you 10 minutes. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, no.
So
And I mean,
time.
like, even recently on Twitter, of course, like, the whole thing with Striders came out in Minecraft, and there were some people who were like, oh, can you just add Crimson and Warp boats anyway? Like, it'll take you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like, it is a more simple feature to add compared to, for example, Orbis and an entire content creation platform, yes. But it's not going to take 5 minutes. I'm sorry. You know, I feel like, and I give people the benefit of the doubt, because also there's quite a lot of young people in the community. And that, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand anything. I didn't know how much work it took to create an entire game. But yeah, it can't be underestimated how even small things in a game can take hours. It can take an entire day. It can take days of work. It can take weeks and months. And, you know, there's a reason it takes upwards of 4 years to create one game.
Yeah.
Because it is a huge engineering effort and a huge artistic effort, and it is insane.
Yeah. And then you've got little, I mean, even little tiny things like hitboxes, and maybe this mob hits it in a certain way, but this other mob doesn't interact with it at all, except when it's on a certain block that, you know, like every little tiny thing has to be figured out. And a lot of times that can be a mess. It can be a mess. So I feel your pain, man. But I'm sure it's a lot of fun working on it too, huh?
It is, absolutely. 100%. Like, cool. This has always been my dream job, 100%. And I did not actually think it would ever happen. Like, me actually being able to work as a game developer, that is not something that I thought would happen.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Still doesn't feel real.
So this is the point in the episode where I realize I don't have enough time to ask you everything on my list. So let's jump into Mojang. Okay, you just said it is your dream job. How on earth did you get there?
Yeah.
That's what people want to know.
Right. Yeah.
You call me like, listen, don't you know who I am? I'm the king.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because what made me... I believe I'd applied one other time for Mojang, but it was under a senior position, which is like totally undeserved. I applied for it because that was the only position I saw at the time, and I was kind of desperate to try and like break in any way possible. Of course, I didn't get that position, which makes total sense. I'm not a senior engineer. I'm not a senior developer at all. But then I ended up seeing a game developer position advertised by Jappa at the time on Twitter, which I was following, and I just looked into it. I had recently just kind of like updated my CV and everything. I had been recently working at a sort of like a mobile game development company, so I had a bit of experience. So I was like, you know, I'll try it. Like, I'm not expecting anything from this. I wasn't even really applying to actually try and get a job. I was just like, this would be interesting to see. Like, let's just see if it happens.
Don't say that. That's like the guy who, I've never bought a lottery ticket. Let's just see it. He gets the winning numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel like that, to be honest. But what ended up happening is, of course, I submitted the application, and then I got a call, and I was like, kind of like, whoa, okay, this is actually something's happening. And so I did like a kind of a screening, like phone interview, and then I did another one, and then I ended up doing like an online like sort of Skype conference with some of the developers on the team.
Did you say Skype?
Actually, no, I don't think it was Skype.
What year was this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
just checking.
No, I don't think it was Skype. Actually,
I'd be impressed.
Like Google Hangouts or something. I can't really remember. And so we ended up using that, and you know, it just like I kept getting kind of like communication back, and eventually what happened was was, of course, I was going to Minecon Nashville at the time. Like that was kind of being planned,
Yeah.
and they wanted to see if I could do like an in-person interview, like actually at the Mojang office. And I kind of suggested like, hey, like to save like a bit of time and money, I'm already going to Nashville anyway, and I know some of you guys are going to be there. Why don't we just do an interview there?
Right.
So I ended up doing an interview in Nashville when I went to Minecon, and it actually went like super well. But it was pretty nerve wracking at the time, you know. Like I saw like Jens and stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, I look up to Jens and
Yeah.
as a designer, and
Yeah.
there were all these cool, amazing people that have done so much for the game, and they were asking me questions about like what I would do with the game, and I was just, you know, it was a really nerve-wracking thing at the time, but it seemed to, you know, they liked me, and I'm here now, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it took quite a
Congratulations on
few
that.
interviews for it to actually happen, though. I think, you know, with games like this that are so big, they really try to, as much as possible, especially when relocating someone, they want to make sure that you are absolutely, you know, the one to
Yes.
come to the company. Otherwise, you know, it's a waste of resources.
Oh yeah.
So it was a big long process, and it took quite a few months actually. But in the end, it worked out. Now I'm in Sweden. So
Man, I wish I
very
would have
cool.
known you were in Nashville because I was living there. That's actually where Q and I met. Is at my
He was
Oh, wow.
there. He was there. You may even you might even went to
Nice.
dinner with. He's probably sitting beside you on the table, and you just like,
I
I don't
just
know who
didn't
this
know.
guy
Maybe.
is.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
future Strider creator right here.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Oh god.
Goodness.
Let's
Strides.
we got a few minutes left before we go into our fun rounds, but
Yep.
Cool.
let's talk about Strider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come up with this idea? Did you sit in a board meeting and goes, okay, this is the mob. It looks like an evil grandma with two legs and
Right.
make it work. Is that how that goes on?
So because I came into like the whole company around about the time that the Nether was kind of like halfway through development,
Right.
there were quite a lot of things that, you know, I of course didn't have much say in because it already, like, a lot of people had started designing things. The Strider was already an idea
Mhm.
in the game, and there was even, you know, concept art and a model for it. But I was one who kind of like thought of more like its personality and even
Shakes.
how, like, the functionality. Yeah, like
When it's
yeah, I mean, I
under the
love
lava.
that stuff.
You come up with that idea.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I basically came
That's
up
awesome.
with like what is it meant to do?
Right.
Of course, we had the idea of like it would help you traverse lava, but we didn't know how. We didn't even know that it would like walk on lava. We thought maybe it might sort of swim or something. Like we weren't really sure. So I just kind of prototyped at one point, and I kind of like prototyped the animation. You know, it went back and forth so much. Like at one point, it didn't have a saddle. Like you could just ride it any time. Um, we tried so many different ideas, and there was even an idea at one point that I had that like it would actually be a hostile mob, and like it would have like a giant tongue that would like shoot out and like grab you and like pull you into the lava, and, you know, crazy stuff. But
Do it. Add it
We-
in next week. Get it there. Come on.
but we ended up settling on
Right.
what we currently have, because we realized that well, kind of just through the process and of course through the community feedback, that this is a first Nether mob or even fantasy mob in the game that is kind of like actually passive. Of course, there's the mushrooms, but that's still a cow with like mushrooms on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like really fantasy. So what I really liked about this is it's kind of like the first time you saw creepers, where you saw
Mhm.
creepers and you were like, what the hell is that? Like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And it's the same thing with Striders. And I like, the community is a bit divided. Like, some people absolutely love it, some people absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing, because I think it's one of those mobs that is so unique to the game that no other game would do this. No other
Yeah.
game would make a mob like the Strider. So I'm actually quite happy with where it is right now, and I don't think it needs to be hostile. I think it's quite nice that the Nether has a passive, cute mob.
Yeah.
It's not scary.
You got any more secrets for that Strider coming out in the next month or something?
There are things being worked on. But I can't say.
He's like, I know stuff. I know stuff.
Man.
Hey, okay.
Well, before we get off the Strider, I want to say...
I'm still on Strider. I was just going to say a few minutes left. I got like 4 questions.
Okay,
Hurry up.
All right.
Speed run,
no,
go.
I think that your approach there hit me perfectly. I when I saw the Strider, I was like, this is like when I first saw the Creeper. That's exactly the thought that came into my mind. Was like, this is so cool because it is a unique mob to the game, and it's weird. And just a little hint here. I'm hoping we see more of that type of stuff in the future. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. I would love to see some more weirdness. Well, okay.
I agree. So one of the things is that, of course, in recent years, there's been more animals added to Minecraft. Like, I think that's fantastic to add animals. But I'm definitely personally of the opinion that we should, explore more like fantasy creatures. I think that's it. That's quintessentially Minecraft. That's exactly why people like Minecraft. So who knows? Maybe we'll see more of that.
As a small suggestion, just void frogs.
Right.
Do it. Come on, man.
Perfect, fantasy.
We get that
concept.
question all the time, like every single hour from our millions of viewers. When are you adding frogs in the void?
Yep.
In Minecraft.
What if I made a mod for it? I could just make a mod.
And then add it in the game.
We can.
Yeah.
Do it.
It'll take you 5 minutes.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick here. Okay, real quick.
Speed run.
This may not be your department, but I'm just really curious. Who gets to do these sounds for these new animals, and does people hide in a room and like squish oranges or something and record them on the mic?
Gojo is
I want to know how do you do it? How do you get new sounds in these things? I'm so curious on that.
There is a sound department that works on this stuff. I don't know if I can name them because I don't know if I have permission to
just
really
call them
name
Bill
the people.
and Jennifer. Bill and Jennifer.
Yeah, well, there's a person, Bill, who
Bill.
works on the sounds for the game, and he's fantastic. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like even the Strider sounds are like so cool. Like we kind of like worked back and forth with like we wanted them to almost sound like a beetle, sort of like clicking sounds, and that was really cool working with them to just kind of like go back and forth and like show them the design and then show them the behavior, and they would kind of come up with some ideas and we'd go back and forth and just keep iterating on that. And of course, like my favorite, my god, the atmospheric sounds in the Nether now, like they're just fantastic. They're so good, and I hope we continue to do more of that stuff. I think that is just so cool.
But are they actually like? I think the ghast was like a cat or something recorded backwards. Like it's actually in a room, and then manipulating it with a soundboard and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on their process. Like, I don't know how they do it. I asked myself, and they, it's a magic trick.
Yeah,
they don't reveal their secrets. They don't reveal their secrets.
And the thing is, like, people don't think about that. Like once you actually think about it, you're like, how do they do that? Because it's not a cow. You don't go and record a cow or something. You actually have to create this thing from nothing.
Yeah. I mean, there are some sound artists I know, like not necessarily Minecraft or anything, but just in game development that go out on the field and they get field mics and everything to record certain things. But I think it's a style thing. Like some people like to do that where they get sounds from nature, and then some people like to just create sounds like their mouth and random objects, and sometimes they combine those two approaches. And I think it just depends on the sound artist who like their approach of how they want to do it. I think Minecraft, because it's more, unique and very different from most of the games. I think we try to create sounds kind of from scratch instead of going out on the field. So yeah.
There, you can use any of these sound effects for the next. The Void Frog mob that you're adding next week.
That is the Void Frog. Yeah.
I watched. All the audio only listeners are like, God, my ears, it's gross. I watched an interview with a sound engineer, one of those sound recording people, and he said that he heard a creak in his floor, and so he recorded the creak in his floor, and now it plays in like every movie ever whenever you hear a creak, and he says he hears it every time and it annoys him. It throws him out of the movie because he hears the creak from his own floor.
He's like, I left that house years ago to get away from the memories.
That would kind of be like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It's just like a dripping on your head sort of thing, you know, like just the
you just can't escape it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goodness.
But yeah, it's really interesting how that starts. Like it's like the Wilhelm.
Oh yeah.
Scream.
The Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
People have to
Like,
Google it.
Everywhere.
I don't know how to do it. That's a void frog.
That was not it at all.
What is a void frog doing when that sound happens?
Yeah,
my
you're the
goodness.
programmer. You tell me. Come on.
Alright, fair enough.
Next
We'll have to see.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
I hate that we don't. I have way too many. Okay, final question before we go. We got a couple fun sections we go into next. Final question. Give us a secret. Something coming out you can share that no one knows about. Come on.
A secret.
Coming out next
We're
snapshot.
not going to be allowed to interview any more Mojang
1.17.
people.
Anything. Come on.
You're going to get us in trouble.
No, they're not. He's a good boy. There's something. I've talked to all the heads of Mojang, and they told me you're allowed to tell us one thing.
Oh wow, they
Come
said
on.
that.
Yeah.
They said that. Did
They
they also
did.
say that I could give you my credit card too?
They said that you have to.
I have to. Oh, okay. I can try and think of like not secrets for the next snapshot, but I can think of like little development quirks, like things that happen
Yeah.
while developing it.
Give us something.
I mean, like
interesting
I
info.
already put this on Twitter, but like
Right.
originally at the Strider we started calling it the Derpatron for some reason.
The Derpatron.
Yeah, because we just thought, I don't know, Kojo came up with that.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
Derpatron.
it's a Derpatron, and we're like, yeah, it's a Derpatron.
It's exactly.
So we just started calling it the Derpatron.
I wish you should have kept with the Derpatron, because in my Diversity 3 map, I had Strider because it was a spider stray, and then yesterday they're like, hey, you got to change the name. I'm like, what? You added them? Now it's actually now I know it's the Derpatron.
Right.
Now they're called
But
That's
Straders.
good. I like it.
All right.
Oh, actually. Oh no, I can't talk about that.
Come on.
About that.
All right.
Okay, no, I can talk about something. All right.
Yes. I'm ready. Okay.
Originally, Crying Obsidian happened because I was working on a prototype, for Obsidian, called Cracked Obsidian.
Okay.
And then we were like, hey, we used to have Crying Obsidian. Why don't we just call it Crying Obsidian? And it kind of went off that. That was one thing. So originally it started off as Cracked Obsidian.
Though? Why is it crying?
It's a mystery.
It's because
Why is it crying?
it can't. It's separated from its obsidian family. So now you just have to when Crying Obsidian touches obsidian, it becomes happy obsidian.
It's confirmed.
You might be
Make it
on to a
work.
future feature
Next
there.
snapshot. Next snapshot.
Next
it's confirmed.
snapshot. 20W 14.
We might have all the emotions.
Oh.
The whole
Do it.
spectrum.
The
Alright.
whole spectrum.
We tried to pry him for new info.
Yep.
It was a test.
His lips are sealed tight. Good job.
Yeah.
Void Frog's coming out in next snapshot. All right.
Oh
so,
yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Okay, so next segment we like to do is called Rapid Fire.
Is that
Okay.
your motion for cueing the music?
Yeah, you'll get it in post.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
I'll get it.
All right.
Cool.
So what this is we kind of like just put you on the spot, 5 questions.
Yeah.
Kind of, I know we already did a whole interview with you, but it's more like random stuff. All
Yeah.
right.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. So, question number 1. Well, I don't know if this is random. Who was the first friend you made at Mojang when you started working there?
Corey. Well,
Correct.
wait, when I started working there or
Yeah.
before?
You walk in
or...
the door, and
And
then
you have
Yeah.
a friend.
Bill, the sound guy's like, "Come under my wing. I'm gonna show you how to make strider noises."
Right. So I guess like the first person that I feel like I kind of made friends with in
Yeah.
Mojang that wasn't Corey, because I'd known him for 8 years before that.
Okay.
I'd say it'd probably be Helen Z.
Of
Uh,
course.
Helen
yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, I'd say she
She's
was
great.
but it was either Helen Z or it was Aubrey. I can't really remember like the
Of course.
timeline right now.
That's not surprising at all.
Yeah, yeah. I
They
mean,
are
they're
awesome.
both absolutely fantastic people. So
I love
Yeah.
them.
yeah,
Helen
but
Z, Mojang's angel, and
Yeah.
Aubrey, the mother of Minecrafters. So
Yeah, that's right.
It makes
She
perfect
is.
sense.
yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, now I think it was actually Aubrey first. I met Aubrey first
Uh-oh.
before Helen
Now
Z.
you're moving them
I'm pretty
along.
sure. Yeah, but they're both equally amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, like I just get confused with timelines. It's been a confusing couple of years with Minecraft.
Been a rush for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Oh,
rapid
I
fire.
guess I'm going on to number
You're
two.
on two, buddy.
I got paused for a moment. My brain stopped. Okay. Rapid fire question number 2. Would you rather be the dog of a king or the king of dogs?
Oh, King of Dogs, absolutely, 100%. I want to
That's
have
so
a
much
pack, like an army
responsibility.
of dogs.
Yeah.
I want an army of dogs behind me that at any point in time I can command them to do whatever I want.
Unless they
that's-
want to overthrow the king. Oh.
Yeah, but if I wasn't a good king to them, then I deserve to be overthrown.
That's true, because
Wow.
they're dogs. They're good boys.
Very dark.
Yeah,
You've thought this through
boys.
before, I think.
100%. This is something I think about every night.
Would I be a good dog or a good king to the dogs?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm swapping number 3 because we kind of covered that a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
I'm going to say, what games do you really enjoy in your spare time? Or do you have time to play games in your spare time that aren't
That's
Minecraft?
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because for the past couple of years I don't play games anymore.
No?
I just I think it's this weird thing where I have a very specific set of games that I like to play. My big, like, I guess genre that I enjoy is like storytelling focused games. So an example of that is like, Telltale games I quite enjoy, but there are some other games like Soma from Frictional Games, which I really enjoyed. They made like Amnesia before
Yeah.
this. Fantastic game, really good game. But it's something that I played recently because I'm like, hey, I'm in isolation. I should play games and like actually have a hobby. So I played Firewatch for the first time, which I'm like,
Oh,
why
yeah.
haven't I played Firewatch
It's
yet?
so good.
That was really, really good. That was
Is that
incredibly good.
Open world game in like a campground, like you're at a
Yeah.
nature reserve or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, I wouldn't say no necessarily open world, but yeah, you're
It
you're watching.
it tries to kind of make you feel like it's
Yeah.
open world, but it
Yeah.
it isn't. It isn't
It
at all.
looks-
It's very linear.
It looked very beautiful, and I was interested in checking that out. If it's the one that I think you're
It's
talking
very
about.
good.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
good.
What I enjoyed so much about it is it just felt real. It just felt so
Yeah.
real. And that's those are the sort of games I enjoy. Like for me, I'm like a supporter of games being like an art form, and
Yeah.
of course Minecraft is like it is art in my opinion, but it's a very different sort of art. It's more of a creative platform, and that's what's so interesting about Minecraft. But the things that I really personally enjoy, like from personal taste, is other games that are like Firewatch, where they're story driven. I want a game where I play it and then I come back from it and I'm like, I'm actually thinking about life in a different way now. That's the sort of games that like I want to create hopefully in the future and also play myself. I think those
Yeah.
are just like so fantastic and really the sort of direction that the game industry should be going forward with. Like I want it to be like what cinema was when cinema started out and when it was developing. I want that momentum to come.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
that's the sort of games I like.
I think that's phenomenal, and my stream viewers, people who are in my little community, they'll know, like, I talk about storytelling all the time and depth, and like you even mentioned with the Strider, that you were kind of in your mind thinking about how would this creature react? How would it move? What's its personality like? Like you're thinking about those details. And I would love to like talk about this stuff in detail with you, because that's the type of stuff that I think that makes gaming so powerful, is really bringing you into a world. But that is not for rapid fire. So
yeah, no, that's all good. But I would love to do that sometime if you're interested. That sounds really cool.
I would be thrilled. I do have a question for you now, though.
Cool.
Another if this or that kind of question. Rapid fire number 4. If you had to choose between living in Sweden, which you've only really spent in your home now recently, right?
Pretty much.
Living in Sweden or Australia for the rest of your life, which would it be?
I think, like, if I get rid of the job for a bit, I think it would be Australia. I love the culture of Australia. We're so like, we're kind of degenerate Australians. Like,
wow.
I don't mean that in like a bad way, but like we have we have a term in Australia called bogans, and bogans are like almost like, I guess you could say like what America says for like rednecks.
Yes, I'm aware of this term.
It's sort of like that culture, right? And like we have a culture of just like of being really laid back and not taking things too seriously, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I think like even things like, because it's so hot, so many people just like they won't wear shoes, and they'll just like walk around like they'll just walk around like they'll just have singlets on and shorts, and just like that's the culture that I enjoy. And I know it sounds like to some people like, oh my god, Australians so degenerate, but for me I think that's what I grew up on, just like this culture that is very friendly first of all, but also very laid back, and we just kind of
g'day mate.
We take things with stride. So I enjoy that, and of course I love the heat. Like I love the environment, the weather, the city itself. The Perth, where I come from, is very it's quite an isolated city. It's quite small, so it's not too crazy. Like nothing really goes on in Perth, and I actually like that. I like the fact that it's a small city and there's not a huge amount going on. Like you can kind of just relax there. Like it's somewhere that you would settle down. Is what I'm saying. So.
Okay.
That's a very long-winded.
So you choose
answer,
Sweden.
but...
Okay, good.
Yeah.
every non-Australian that I know is probably like, well, that's kind of offensive. But every Aussie friend that I have or person,
they're like,
that
Mike,
like, that's exactly right. Yeah, we are kind of like that.
I mean, we were convicts. Australians were convicts. So you gotta put it all into perspective here.
Okay. Yep. Question number 5, rapid fire. You ready?
Yep.
I've been dying to know. Actually, so many people have been dying to know when the next episode of the Noob Show is coming out.
Oh my god, you found that! Holy! Oh my god! It's so
come on, man.
Cringy.
You got all the glass around the base.
You know how cool like that the Nether portal where I like built like, I don't know if you watched like all of it.
A kitchen,
but
like a kitchen floor around the Nether portal.
Yeah. I had like a that was like my basement. It was like a containment facility with like a portal there. Oh my god!
This is from
I think my voice is really high
2010
pitched.
or 2011, I think.
That would have been just before I started modding.
The Noob Show, yeah.
The Noob Show.
Episode 3, and then you went to Advanced.
Did you enjoy like my thumbnail, which is like made in Paint? MS Paint. Did you enjoy that? Do you think that was pretty good?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It was wonderful.
Yeah. You should put it like on the video right now if you can. Like that.
Cut it.
It's true artistry. It's so good. But yeah, I'm confirming now that next month the Noob Show is restarting.
You heard it here, folks. The Noob Show, episode 4, coming out next month.
I think
he will continue where he left off to advance that basement stone.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think you got like 58 subscribers or something on there. So
They enjoyed it.
That's 58 more than I expected.
we're gonna get you 50 million. That's what we do around these parts.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Last segment.
I have no
Last
idea how
segment.
you found that.
The real hot. I was just gonna say hot shot. You are the hot shot on the hot spot. On the hot seat.
Hot spot.
It's time for
now.
Void
Going
Frogs
into
Trivia.
Void Frogs Trivia.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
here's the deal, sir.
Suck at this.
Most people do, so it's okay.
Don't worry.
I will
believe
let
in
you
you.
know. I'm not going to let you know her score, but I will let you know that the person with the highest score so far is another Mojang employee who's been on the show.
Yeah.
In fact, she got the high score. She got the same score twice
Yeah.
because we had to re-record the episode one time.
That's right. Oh, and she's also so far the only female we've had, which just proves that women are better at everything.
It's true. There we go.
Yeah.
Or we need
So-
more women on the show.
That's right. We do.
Both.
Hint.
Maybe that too.
So right now we've got 5 trivia questions for you. Our theme is, of course, obviously kings and dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So
You got it.
You know,
Brother.
not Brandon's. We thought about going with Brandon's, but
Yeah.
decided not to.
Name the newest Brandon hired at Mojang.
That's right. So you're gonna have a time set. There's a timer in my head. Okay. Ask you the question. You answer right or wrong, depending on how many that you get correct. We will give you a certificate. Now, I have to be honest with you. My last episode, I did not actually get the certificate out in time because I was a little bit
Well,
sick.
technically,
and a
you
little
still
bit
have time
busy and
because we
everything.
haven't aired this yet. So get it there today.
That's right. We'll get everything out. It's
Yeah.
all going out.
Go.
And you know what? And if I can get the address to Microsoft in Stockholm, Mojang in Stockholm, I'll send you the certificate in the mail. You have it yourself. You could pin it up on your wall right there behind you.
Nice.
It's beautiful. So yeah. All right. 5 questions. You ready for this?
Yep. Well, no, but yes.
Don't worry about it. These are easy.
Nothing.
These are easy.
Don't worry. We've already talked to Mojang. They just said the career depends on it. So just
That's right.
make sure you get them correct so you don't get fired. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Question number 1. This mega beast was the star of the very first feature-length movie about the giant monster wreaking havoc on New York City.
Godzilla.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer. I think. Wait, we're talking about the Beast, right? Not the movie.
We're talking about the beast and the movie name, actually. One and the same.
Oh wait, maybe King Kong. There we go.
Hey,
that's
there
right.
we go.
That's
Good
it.
job.
It's
Yeah.
Kings
Good job.
and
Yeah,
Dogs trivia.
Yeah.
Well done.
I was gonna
One for
say,
one.
I'm like, Godzilla doesn't really fit Kings.
No.
There we go. Yeah.
He's
yeah,
the
all
king
right,
of
all right.
monsters. Okay.
He is the king of monsters.
All right.
So
Okay.
Good job. One for
One
one.
for one.
1 for 1.
Question number 2. Okay.
Just relax.
In the comic strip Garfield.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lovable, seemingly dopey, kind, underweight, yellow-furred, brown-eared beagle who is Garfield the cat's best friend. Although
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of picks on him.
Yeah.
What is his name?
pretty sure it's Odie. I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go.
Very
Good
good.
job.
Yeah, it's funny.
Very
Like
good.
I've never read any Garfield ever, so I don't know why I know that.
How do
I think
you
I know
know
it. I think I know it from all like the weird like surreal memes that are coming out about Garfield, where they make him like super creepy and stuff. That like
Oh,
I've
I've
seen
not
stuff
seen
about
those.
that. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
That's
by the way.
amazing that you know that name. I even had multiple choice just in case you struggled. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow,
Okay. All right.
2 for 2.
Have you seen that? Have you
Okay.
seen that Garfield strip where they take Garfield out and it's just the guy John Arbuncle, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Just talking to himself, and it's the most depressing thing.
I don't think I have, but that sounds amazing.
Oh,
like the
it's
whole
just-
series. No, I think I saw something about that, and they were like, oh, like he has like a mental illness, and like Garfield
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
That's
and it's
right.
Yeah,
He's actually talking to
Oh, man.
himself, I think.
it's heartbreaking.
crazy.
It's
Cats don't
heartbreaking.
talk.
Check it out. It's heartbreaking and funny. Question number 3. You're 2 for 2. You're doing great. Question number
Yeah.
3.
You might actually keep your job. Okay, let's go.
There
I don't
were
know.
2 kings that faced off at the Battle of Thermopylae. One from Persia and one from Sparta.
I am terrible
What?
with history.
What
Oh, no.
one of their names? You just have to name one of them.
This is the one thing that I didn't pay attention in school.
The one thing. The Battle of Thermopylae.
Oh no! Is there a multiple choice that I could have?
Oh.
A multiple choice.
If not, then
Do you know the battle that we're referring to? They made a
really,
movie
man.
off of it.
Oh well, I assume 300,
Yeah.
maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't even remember that movie, to be honest.
There was the god king from Persia.
Yeah. I can't remember
okay.
his name. I
how about
can't. I
this?
can't.
One of their
Come on.
names. Okay, I'll give you the first letter of one of their names, either the one from Persia or the one from Sparta. Which one do you want?
Sparta.
Sparta. The first letter of the king from Sparta.
Yeah.
His name is L.
No.
Nothing.
I don't know.
Damn.
I was so
I don't know.
hoping you would be able to get the
No.
perfect score.
No.
That's okay. It was either the god king Xerxes from
Oh, that's right.
Persia.
Yeah.
or King Leonidas from Sparta.
Okay. Right. I wouldn't have got Leonidas, but Xerxes I've heard of. 100%.
And
Yeah.
but,
Played by a Scottish actor.
Ah,
This is
yeah.
Sparta!
It's
See,
so good.
I haven't watched that movie in such a long time, and I don't know anything about anything to do with that stuff. So
They all die.
yeah.
there we
Okay.
go.
Q, you're up.
Okay.
You're up. 2 for 3.
No multiple choice for this one because we didn't write it down. Okay.
Okay. All right.
What is the tallest dog breed on average in the world?
Ooh. On average.
Come on, King of Dogs, you should know this.
See, I'm a cat person.
You just said
So,
you would rather be the
You're
King
a
of
cat
Dogs.
person?
I am a cat person 100%. I've only ever had a dog once in my life. When I was
But your
very
name
young,
is
and I don't
King
really remember.
P-Dog.
It's supposed to be
I
King
know, it's so
B
stupid, right?
Cats.
It should be King B Cats.
You're the king of
God,
dogs.
I don't know.
Here, I'll make up a. I'm gonna make up a multiple choice real quick.
You are so lenient on the Void Frogs trivia.
Look, man, I like these people.
Imagine
okay?
if
I
they
want them
did
to
this
feel
in-
good about themselves.
Yeah. Imagine if they
Yeah,
did this in
yeah.
Jeopardy. Nobody's gonna answer? Okay, well, we'll give you 3 options. You pick the one, and whoever gets it gets the money.
Is that your
Yeah,
final
yeah.
choice? Yes. Are you sure?
I didn't hear that correctly. What?
Yeah, so I don't even really know many dog breeds.
It's a type of dog. It is. Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
I've got you
Okay.
some.
Here's the
multiple choice
options.
there.
You have the
Okay.
Irish Wolfhound, the Boxer, the Great Dane, or an extremely tall Chihuahua.
It's a Great Dane, right? Pretty sure.
Is
You
that
sure it's not the
final
extremely
choice?
tall Chihuahua?
It could be the extremely
Just-
tall Chihuahua.
Long neck.
Oh,
Really long legs.
oh.
Can you imagine?
Okay, okay.
You know
You
what?
said
You know
Great
what?
Dane. Very good, very good. Okay, give him the
Yeah,
ding.
yeah.
Give him the ding.
Oh my goodness.
Alright.
Can you please add an extremely tall chihuahua to the game?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
That'd be sick.
I didn't know that was a breed.
I don't think it is. It's just
I couldn't think of another one.
All right, question number 5. Compose yourself. Put it on the line. What score are you at now?
Okay.
You're at 3 for 4, right?
3 for 4. 3 for 4.
Yeah.
You might tie for top score.
Okay. The King Cobra is one of the most... Well, wait. First, question. Do you follow the metric system or the... What is it? Imperial? The Imperial system.
Or the metric or the false system? Which one do you follow?
Metric or the better?
Yeah, metric.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Like normal people who say Z, the correct people in the world.
The King Cobra is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. But it's also the longest of all venomous snakes.
That's right.
How long can the King Cobra grow? Guess within about a half meter or so.
Wow. No idea. 30 meters. I don't know.
30 meters?
30 meters.
Yeah,
Do you know how long
30
meters
Let's do it.
Would you
Let's
rather
do
answer
it.
in
Biggest snake in
Imperial?
the world. Biggest snake in the world. Come on,
What
let's
in
do
the
it.
world?
That's 30 meters. Like that's for those of you who aren't in the meters, that's like 3 feet a meter, right? So that's
It's like 90
It's
feet
really
long.
90 feet long.
It's really long.
90-foot snake.
I think
That's
the
why it's the
movie-
king.
That's
Okay,
right.
no. All right, a more realistic answer.
Gosh. Wait, here.
I don't
I'll
know,
give
like
you-
one.
8 meters. 8 meters.
Hold on.
You are
on.
so lenient.
Hold on. I'm not lenient. I am not lenient at all. The longest
I'm just trying to.
the longest snake in the world. Okay.
Yeah,
Period. The longest snake in the world can get to be about 10 meters long.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and that's a reticulated python. Okay, now that's the
Yeah.
longest snake in the world. So now you know that. So now how about this King Cobra? Final answer.
Venomous.
Go for it.
And so this is the average length or the longest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
this is
average.
like average length. Yep.
Yeah. I stand on what I said before, about 8 meters. I feel
About
like.
8 meters. Within
Okay.
a half of a meter.
Within a half of a meter. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Damn.
That's not correct. It was
I
close.
believed in you, King. You should have known your
believed in
King
you.
Cobras.
Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is 5.5 meters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
All right.
about,
Well, that's
or
fair.
about
Put
eight.
that in
8
the old
meters
noggin.
sounds. 8 meters sounds ridiculous, sir.
Right?
Not as ridiculous as
I always
30.
try to overshoot. Well, a 30 meter snake. That sounds pretty.
That's like Aether. Aether
that
like
is-
mob. 30 meter
that is-
snake.
Yeah.
30 meter snake. How long? Anaconda movie snake length. How long was the?
Yeah, it's probably
snake-
way longer than that.
Yeah. Okay. The anaconda from the movie Anaconda about the giant snake.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 30 meters long.
No,
Yeah,
I doubt it.
it's only 40 feet
Yeah.
long. So it's only like a third of the length of
Yeah.
the snake that you
That's right.
that you described.
30 meter snakes coming
30
to
meters.
Minecraft. Next
It's gonna
snapshot.
happen. 30 meters, I think.
One day,
That is
you're going to be vindicated. You're going to be like, give me that point back. I was right. Find 30 meter snakes.
Yep.
Oh,
And
God.
okay, well, hey, good job. You
Yeah.
you made 3 out of 5 points. So
Very
round of
respectable.
applause for you. I'm very
Very
proud
respectable.
of you.
I'll have
You-
to have a talk with the higher ups at Mojang to see if you're coming in,
Yeah. We'll
next
Yeah,
we'll do
I
our
mean,
part.
The whole not knowing about snakes thing, that's...
It's super.
Hey,
know.
I don't make
I
the
don't
rules.
know.
I just enforce them, okay?
Yeah.
Listen. Well, you know
Sick.
what? You put void frogs in Minecraft, and maybe I can pull some strings.
That's right.
Sound good?
We'll
All
call up Satya and Jens and
Yep.
make it happen.
Yeah.
We'll keep you there, buddy.
Cool.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate having you here on the show. Seriously. So
Yeah.
cool to
It's a
have a
pleasure.
game
Sure.
developer on
Yeah.
the show.
First one
It's incredible. Incredible.
would not
and-
budge on the secret info except the little backstory stuff, but we'll get you one day.
That's right.
Get you one day.
Which I want to say, I'm not gonna. We Q and I talked about this last night. We decided we didn't want to get into this, but like, people obviously they complain about mods.
We didn't want to get into it, but right now we're gonna talk about.
Right now, I'm gonna get into it as our final comment, as my final comment.
Okay.
People complain about mods and stuff. Back in the day, years ago, you were doing your mods, and man, people love to tear into modders and map makers. Q has seen it. I've seen it with videos and servers and stuff. How does it feel, sir, to be able to look at those people right now and say, I'm at Mojang now, baby. Let's go. Talking about complaining about me and my work. Come on. That must feel good.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, it does feel good, but it's also like it's surreal, right?
Yeah.
And I think it is interesting how a lot of modders do get a bunch of flack. Like I got like I'd say I got like at least a few death threats back in the day, like from the community. Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, nothing serious. Like it was mostly probably kids just saying like, oh, I'll kill you and that sort of stuff. Like it's nothing truly serious, but it's like you shouldn't have to go through that, especially when you're just making free content for the community. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But hey, like. In the end, I think it's something you have to accept as you shouldn't have to accept it, but I think it's part of the ecosystem in a way as a content creator, to kind of learn how to deal with that sort of stuff. And I think I have learned how to deal with it, but also now, being part of the game, I think it is important also for me to realize that, some other modders and content creators still go through that. And I feel like, we at Mojang should try to help prevent that as much as possible, because I think it's not fun. It's really not fun. Like that, content creators should be celebrated, and the content that they do create should be celebrated. So hopefully gets better over time.
Yeah.
What a guy. He knows his stuff.
Yep. Well, and I want to let Q. Do you have any final questions or anything that you want to ask?
Yeah, so...
No. Okay, no.
No, I don't have anything. There was like 20 more questions I couldn't get to. But...
We have so many
modding
more
API,
questions.
when? Now that you're there, come on, some meme at this point.
Undetermined amount of years.
It's right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right.
It would be awesome to maybe catch up with you again in the future. It'd be really cool. But since we have no other questions right now, even though we have a million other questions for you, I want to leave the floor open to you. I let Helen do the same thing before. Can you just say something, a word of encouragement to those little kids out there, those little Bills and Jennifers out there who are looking and saying, I want to work at Mojang one day? Can you just give a word of advice to them? Anything that you want to say, the floor is yours, sir.
Never feel like what you're doing right now won't potentially lead to something greater, because we didn't really get into this with this podcast so far, but before I did Minecraft mods, I actually worked on Warcraft 3 mods, which it wasn't any programming, but it was basically like maps and stuff in the world editor. And even before that, the first thing that I ever did when I was like 7 years old is I made point and click adventures in PowerPoint. Microsoft PowerPoint. So I'd basically use like hyperlinks to go to a different slide, and I tried to recreate Command and Conquer in it. It had like there was like a sidebar where it had like the structures.
Please
that you could
tell
build,
me you have this. Please tell me.
I've got it somewhere. It's in Australia, I think. I'd have to ask my brother to like get it for me. But
awesome.
we do have that. It's terrible. I made it for 7. But
I'm ready to play.
But
that sounds great.
the thing is it's like, even though it is bad, the tools don't define you, and you don't know where it's going to lead you. Like I went from PowerPoint to making textures in black and white too, if you played that game, where I just like edited like the texture of a creature to make it green instead of like brown or something. Like I just made random things, and then I went to Warcraft 3 and I started making maps, and that's not programming and it's not like real modding, but it gave me like, I guess, a hunger for content creation. And then from that went to Minecraft, and then I just kept being more ambitious, and then now I'm in Mojang, and it just shows that. And I even made a documentary about this with my brother, because we made a game, a fan-made game for Jurassic Park, and we made an entire documentary about that, called Our Jurassic Journey, and it tries to talk about celebrating your first steps as a game developer, or even as just a content creator or an artist. That actually those first steps should be celebrated just as much as your destination, because we tend to celebrate the destination, like, oh my god, I'm at Mojang, but like, isn't it so cool that as a kid I worked on like PowerPoint games? Like, that's amazing. Like, as a kid, if you want to do these things, no matter how big or small, do it, and that's fantastic. That's exactly what you should be doing. And you never know where it's going to lead you. You could be working at Mojang in 5 years. You could be working at any company that you think is like so fantastic, or any game that you want to help work on. So just never give up. Just keep trying. You
I love that. I love
Never
that.
give up.
That's cool. You were working on, you were making games in PowerPoint. There are kids today who are making games in Minecraft who are going to go on and work at some awesome companies.
I'm going to go make PowerPoint in Minecraft.
Nice. I would download that mod, 100%.
All right. Okay, so hey, finishing up here, tell everybody where to find you on Twitter, your website, all that good stuff.
Yep. So on Twitter, it's at kingbdogz, with a Z at the end, or a Z.
Nope.
Sure.
No, go with the first one, the Z.
I appreciate your compromise.
I don't really use any other like social media. I don't use Instagram or anything. But yeah, just basically at kingbdogz, Twitter.
King
That's where I'm.
Give him a follow.
On.
He's got all the hidden secrets he's gonna spill online about adding void frogs and
a few memes,
Strider memes. And... All right, great.
And look for Brandon Pearce in the credits of the game. And that's
there you go.
Are you in the credits yet, or is that still coming?
I don't believe I'm in yet, but I'm sure they'll update it soon.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things that happens during the Nether update or something.
Well, they better get on it. Otherwise, we're not going to have Jens on the podcast.
We're not going to have whoever develops the credits.
That's right. That's right. Hey, man, Brandon King, thank you for being here with us today.
No worries,
Very much
been a pleasure.
appreciate. Love having you on. Love talking about all the mod stuff and all the developer stuff.
Yeah, totally awesome. For all of you who are listening in today, thank you so much. You can check out all of our other episodes at thevoidfrogs.com, youtube.com/thevoidfrogs, twitter.com/thevoidfrogs, facebook.com/thevoid, everywhere that you get podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely go check out kingbdogz, and we will see you all next week right here for episode number 10. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you all around. Peace.